Hey, welcome to episode 4 of the Lockdown DIY series. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about caulk, but I'm going to be referring to it throughout the episode as sealant. So first of all, what are sealants used for? Well, they often double as adhesives, but primarily they're used for sealing joints, seams, gaps, cracks, outside and inside the home. Inside the home, it's usually to seal off areas against moisture intrusion, like at a tub surround and around trim, for painting purposes and aesthetics. Outside the home, it's more used to seal the house against moisture and air intrusion, pest intrusion, dust, all kinds of things. So it's important to know what types of sealants are available. When you go to the hardware store, there are going to be countless types. Just take a look at this video from our local Lowe's. Look at all these different types of caulk and adhesive. Okay, so as you can see, there are a lot of different choices available, and if you aren't familiar with the different types and what you need to use where, you're going to be in trouble. This is not the type of job that you're probably going to want to hire a professional to come out with. It is a DIY job that pretty much anyone can do as long as you know what you're doing. Houses we inspect, we come across really shoddy jobs all the time when it comes to sealant. It's a mess, and you can tell that people really didn't know what they were doing. Usually we can quickly tell if a contractor or a homeowner has done the job. So my goal in today's episode is to teach you how to do this yourself and to do it to get a professional, clean looking result. Okay, so first of all, we're just going to be going over today the different types of sealants that you would use inside the home. We're not going to get into anything outdoors. There are several different types of sealants for sealing gutters, roof penetrations, trim around the exterior and siding, concrete, and so on. You're probably going to have a professional do those types of jobs, but the interior stuff, trim, bathtubs, toilets, vanities, you can easily do that on your own. So first of all, we have latex-based sealants, which are good for painting. That's like this one here. This is a DAP product. It's called Alex Fast Dry. Alex Plus is also a very popular product. And it says right on here, painting projects. So most of these tubes are going to tell you right on them what they're to be used for. But one thing to know and keep in mind as you're searching at the store is, for the most part, none of these are going to live up to their advertisements on the tube. Okay, so if they give you a lifetime guarantee on a product, or a lifetime mildew resistance guarantee, and notice it's resistance and not proof, big difference there. All of these sealants are going to naturally deteriorate over time. They will have a long lifespan on them if they're properly installed and cared for, cleaned. But none of them are going to last forever. It's just a fact. So you are going to have to likely replace them at some point in the future. It's not that hard of a job, but you need to know how to do it. So we have latex. We have acrylic latex-based products, which are known as painter's caulk. And those types, by the way, come in a lot of different colors. So you can use them to, say, match tile in a bathroom area. Now, separate from those, for interior projects, we have silicone. Now, silicone is an elastic product that's waterproof. So when you think acrylic, think interior trim, projects like that. When you think silicone, think water. Kitchens, bathrooms, areas like that. And silicone is much more elastic. So it's going to be able to bend a lot more, especially under temperature extremes where you need more expansion and contraction. And again, you can see here, this is another DAP product, Quick Seal Ultra. These are just things I've had lying around the house, but it tells you right on here it's good for kitchens, bath, plumbing jobs in general. It gives you a lifetime guarantee for mold and mildew resistance. Now, one thing that's important to know about silicone is that unlike acrylic products, it is not paintable. Paint's just going to flake right off of it. Now, there are products that are called hybrid caulks that are newer. Well, they've been around a while now, but years back we didn't have these. The technology continues to improve on the sealants. So now we have what are called siliconized or advanced siliconized products. Those are hybrids, and the price is going to reflect that. In general, those are your best route to go if you want to have a long-lasting application. And again, the price is reflective of the quality. So, you know, you can get cheap acrylic tubes for a couple bucks at the hardware store, whereas an advanced siliconized hybrid caulk is probably going to run you in excess of $7 or $8. So it's going to be about 3 to 4 times more expensive, but you get what you pay for. Now, these products come now in 2 basic forms. They come in these squeezable tubes, and they come in a traditional tube like this that you're going to be loading into a caulk gun like this. Okay, and more on that in a second. But in general, these are fine for small areas that you might want to work on, but I would strongly recommend that you get comfortable using a caulking gun and that you use that for the vast majority of your projects. It's going to give you, it's going to be a lot more easy to work with, first of all, than the squeezable tube, and it's going to give you a much better overall bead, and that's what we refer to our line as. So the line that we apply, we call that a bead of caulk. Okay, so how to cut these. Now this is important. When you get your tube, it's going to need cut at the tip, and it's going to need punctured in here to break this seal and allow the product to come through. So your caulking gun comes with a couple of handy features. It has this hole here, and you can see there's a cutter built into this to cut the tip of your nozzle. I don't tend to use this. It's just really hard to get a nice clean cut on here, and it's hard to really gauge the depth. Now there is another tool built into this gun, which is this puncture tool here that's built right into the side. And I do use this to puncture. Once you've cut off your tip, you can puncture through to open up your seal and allow the material through. Now, this particular caulking gun, I would highly recommend. This is a relatively newer product. Older style guns, and they make a lot of types. A lot of people still use them, but they're made of metal, so they're durable, but they're not quite as easy on the hands. And they have a release lever back here that's going to cause this to push forward against the back of your tube and continue to push material out even beyond when you're done if you don't press in on that release. It's not that difficult to get used to using, but this style of gun has these teeth at the bottom, and this is actually dripless. So you can see here as I push and then let off, it stops moving. Okay, so for a DIY project, and if you're not real experienced with this and you want to make your life easy, I would definitely go this type of route as opposed to an older metal style caulking gun. All right, so we're going to go now, and I'm going to demonstrate how to properly apply a bead. This is just going to be at a section of baseboard trim at the base of a wall that I'm going to be painting before too long. I'm going to do a small section just to show you how to properly do it. And then I'm going to be sharing a really helpful tip with you for if you want to get really straight lines that involves painter's tape. Okay, so here we are at our baseboard. Now, I mentioned earlier that I don't like to use the provided cutter on your caulking gun. You just don't get a real clean cut with that. Instead, the best route to go is just a box cutter, a typical razor. And what you're going to do, and I've already cut my nozzle because I've been using this, but first of all, one rule here, you want to cut near the tip of your nozzle. You don't want to cut too far down. Again, the rule with applying any sealant is to keep your bead as thin as you can and still fill your gap. Okay, so you don't want your bead to be too thin because over time it is going to cure and shrink, especially a latex or acrylic product. And you don't want any cracking and void areas to form. But you also don't want to just slop on a huge bead that is going to look really bad and just be more area for any contaminants to collect on. So when you take your nozzle, you're going to want to push away from yourself with your box cutter at a 45-degree angle. Now what I like to do is, after I cut this, I don't just leave it at that. I also like to shave off the sharp edges at the side. So as you can see here, we get a nice, clean, rounded edge, 45 degrees, okay? And it doesn't have to be exactly 45, but you do want it to be angled so that you can hold your gun at an angle as you apply your bead. So, keep a wet rag with you. You're going to need this to clean off your finger, which you're going to run over the bead when you're done, and to clean off your nozzle on your tube as you go. This can be a really messy job, so you want to keep up with the cleaning as you do it, okay? And that'll make your life a lot easier, I promise. So you want to clean your surface very well before you begin your application. That's very important because anything that's left over could contaminate the new caulk that you're laying down. This is especially important in a bathroom application where your sealant's going to be exposed to soap scum and eventual mildew and things like that. So here's how we do this. We're just going to set our gun in at an angle. We're going to apply firm pressure, and I like to start a little bit away from the corner because when we're done, we can use a little bit of the excess we get to push that in there and create a really nice joint. So we're going to apply firm pressure, a nice, smooth, even bead along this edge. And again, just shy of the corner. Now I'm going to immediately clean off my nozzle here, make sure that's good. Next thing you want to do is wet the tip of your finger, and they make tools to do this, but I'm going to tell you there really is no substitute for the old-fashioned method of just using a wet fingertip. Okay, so you're going to run this evenly along your bead and clean off your finger as you go, pushing that into the joint and then going all the way to the edge. And a lot of times you're going to want to go up your edge too, so you can fill in some of these gaps. We need to just let this dry for a little while. I usually go a little longer than what the tube says, so in this case 20 minutes. It will be much longer for a silicone product in most cases, anywhere from 4 to 24 hours, but just give it longer to dry than whatever the tube says and you'll be good. We're going to go up here now and I'm going to show you how to do the same thing but around some other trim. Okay, so you can see here we've got some gaps along the side. I've been meaning to seal and paint this area over here for a while, so being home now, this is a good opportunity to do it. So this is just really for cosmetic purposes more than anything. But again, you just want to set your gun in place at an angle. Make sure that the bead you're applying is not too thick, that it's a good size for the space. And we're going to go right down along here and fill in that gap, okay? Again, just wet your finger and run that right along the edge. So we've filled in that gap nicely now. Now we're going to go down here. We have this edge and into here and down. Okay, and same thing. We have a little bit of excess there. That's fine. All right, so you can see now that's filled in very nicely. It's clean, it looks great. We just need to let this dry and then we're going to paint it and we're good to go. Okay, so I told you I was going to give you one helpful tip regarding painter's tape with applying sealant. This is especially helpful for like a bathtub and surround type application, and that's an area that you may have to recaulk fairly often over time. It's just subject to a lot of soap scum, mildew, those kinds of things. So to use your painter's tape to get nice clean edges and a really professional look, you're going to want to apply it about 1/8 of an inch above and a separate piece 1/8 of an inch below your gap. So your total width is going to be about 1/4 inch at the tub, okay? This same method can be used for anything you're working on, but in paintable areas, it's going to be pretty much hidden anyway, so the tape isn't really as important. In areas where you need a nice, clean line, a really good finished professional look, painter's tape is a really good option in a DIY situation. So think about 1/4 inch as your total width of your bead. You're going to apply it, and as soon as you're done with that, before it's skimmed over while it's still wet, just like with paint, you're going to want to peel your tape away. You're going to be left with those nice, crisp, clean edges and a really professional look. So hopefully this video has helped you to learn more about the different types of sealant and giving you some pointers on how to do some of this stuff on your own inside your home, around trim, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, and so on. If it is, please be sure to like, share, so that we can get the word out to as many people as possible. Hope this helped.